unicorns, and welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that you're on my channel, I'm Vanessa Somuayina and welcome to the fam. So guys, today's reading is all about what is next in your life. So in order to help you figure out what is coming next into your life, I have prepared 4 groups that you can choose from, and I would like you to pick one of these 4 groups intuitively. So how this kind of video works is that you choose one of these 4 crystals, just the one that you feel the most drawn to, the one that makes your heart skip a beat. And then you go down into the description box or into the comment section where you can find the corresponding timestamp, which will fast forward straight to your reading. So I'm sure you're wondering what the 4 crystals are that we have for today. So we have the white calcite, we have the orange calcite, we have the vanadinite, as well as the tiger eye. And if you're completely new to my channel and your reading ends up resonating with you, do not forget to hit that subscribe button as well as turn on your notification bell in order to never miss another reading that is relevant to your life. And for all of my existing little unicorns, I just want to thank each and every one of you for being so supportive and positive on my channel. This is truly the most beautiful space that I have ever seen on YouTube. Yes, that is what I'm saying about my channel, because you guys are a part of it. Each and every one of you makes my space beautiful, makes my life beautiful, and I just want to thank you for it and show a little bit of gratitude and appreciation. Because let's be honest, doing that is never a bad idea. But enough of my cheesy intro, you guys. I'm going to get straight into the readings, and I will begin with the first group, which corresponds to the white calcite, and to all of my other groups, I will catch you at the click of your timestamp. Hello, group number 1, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the white calcite, group number 1. So this is a very interesting stone, okay? It's clear, it's beautiful. It is a stone that helps eliminate any types of negative energies, negative vibes, which is maybe why you chose it. But let's move straight into your reading to figure out exactly what is coming next for you. So first and foremost, we have the gibbous moon. And I just want to quickly point out that I literally only have 1 card. I do not pre-prepare piles because I do not like that. I like to shuffle and lay the cards right before you live. So we're starting off with the gibbous moon, and after that we're doing everything intuitively. So one thing that I see in the gibbous moon is that you're very close to achieving one of the big goals that you have set for yourself, okay? And usually when you're at a point in your life where you're very close to achieving a goal, you kind of feel like giving up, okay? A lot of people who are very close to a breakthrough, who are close to success, give up kind of last minute, okay? They give up when they really shouldn't, when they really just need to just hold on a little tighter for just a little bit longer and just hang in there. So that is one of the main things that I want you to take out of this reading, group number 1. Actually, if there's anything that you take out of this reading, I already know that this is the most important thing, to just hang in there and to remain positive and to remain motivated any way you can, because you're closer to success than you may have ever expected. So then we have the new moon in Gemini as well as the blue moon. So some of these zodiac signs may really resonate with you as well as your birth chart, and if you feel that way, then even better, obviously. So in the new moon in Gemini, one thing that I see here is that it's very important for you to focus on communication at this point in your life. I see that coming up next for you is probably a time where, you know, if you're not communicating clearly and properly, things may be challenging, things may be a little, how should I say? A little like full of obstacles, if you will. And in the blue moon, one thing that I see here is that you have to just allow yourself to believe in the impossible. So you may think to yourself, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to do X, Y, and Z in my personal life, in my work life, in my academic career. Whatever it is that you think is impossible, just note that a lot of people turned the impossible possible by simply trying, okay? And there is no harm in asking. That is one thing that my parents have always taught me. Like, the worst that can happen is for you to receive a no. So that is one thing that I see here in your reading that may have to do with you achieving your goal quicker than you ever expected. Communicating clearly and just asking for what you want, because there's so many people in this world who simply ask for what they want, whether they deserve it or not, and they end up receiving. And what I see with you is that you're kind of like hesitant to ask. You don't really want to like ask for something that you feel you don't quite deserve, or you feel like somebody else would be more deserving of. But newsflash, group number 1, I have a big newsflash for you. that is not how the world works. A lot of people who aren't deserving, just because they ask, just because they have like the audacity, they receive what it is that they want. And it's not that things just get awarded to those who deserve it the most. Things get awarded to those who ask and who have the audacity to. Of course, there has to be some talent and so on and so forth, but you know where I'm trying to go, group number one. So put yourself out there more and don't feel like you're not quite deserving. You know what I mean? That is really something that is blocking you and holding you down and keeping you away from your goals and achieving them in a timely manner. So then we have the moon, we have the traveler, we have the 6 of feathers, as well as the 8 of crystals. Okay, so group number one, I want to talk to you a little bit more about the whole thing of maybe not feeling quite deserving enough. So in the moon, one thing that I see here is that you have to follow your intuition, as well as know that not everything is as it seems. Many times in life we feel like things are a certain way, but it's not really like that. So there are deceitful people, there are deceitful situations, as well as very deceitful emotions. In group number one, you may be harboring some of those emotions that are deceiving you to think that maybe you're not ready, you're not prepared, or you're not quite at a deserving enough spot, like you haven't quite earned it yet to get to that next point or to achieve that next goal. And that is not the case, group number one. I want you to know that that is just an illusion. That is something that is holding you back. You're a little too hard, too tough on yourself right now. In the traveler, one thing that I see is that there is a lot of potential here for you to venture and adventure into a new sort of space that you're not used to. And this space has everything to do with you developing this kind of like audacity to just ask. So because you're coming from a point where you're already uncomfortable asking for anything that you feel like you haven't like really like sweat blood and tears for, like I see that when you ask, it's not really like any audacity there. It is just rightfully what you should be asking for in order to even keep up with the people who didn't even put in half the work you put in, but are already asking for, like, say, that promotion, that raise, for that like piece of business, whatever it is that has to do here with your goal. So don't feel as though you're being too cocky or anything like that. Know that moving into this new space comes with a lot of potential, okay? In the 6 of feathers, I see that you will be able to gain more insight into how things work, and you will feel like you have more clarity. You will feel as though like, wow, I should have done this a long time ago, because clearly, you know, your track record, your kind of like, how should I say, your stats, your CV does not say as much as how actively you go out there and ask for what you want, you know? So I see a lot of clarity coming there. And in the 8 of crystals, I see progress, okay? I see anything that has to do with the earthly realms, with your career, with what you're doing in order to sustain a living, or what you're building in order to sustain a living. So this could be, for instance, an academic kind of like career growth, you know, just studies. I see a lot of progress there because you are putting more dedication towards it. I see when you start to realize that, like, okay, hard work alone is good and great, but at the same time, people are crossing the finishing line before you just because they are putting themselves out there and because they have enough audacity to just ask for things along the way, and they don't wait until the progress is so big that you are almost like forced to be shoved into the next stage. They already like prematurely move into the next stage, which makes them move a lot quicker. So this is something that I see you transitioning into, because you will finally realize, like, you don't have to like overkill things. You don't have to already be like really good at something in order to put it out there into the world, to make money from it, to sort of like get a better position at your job. Like, it's all a learning process, and there are a lot of people who learn through the transition and during the time of the transition from one area to another, and so can you. So I feel kind of as though in your reading it becomes very clear that you're not going to be so hard on yourself anymore, and you're going to think to yourself, look, if they can do it, then so can I, which, you know, rightfully so, group number one. Then we have hiding your true self, as well as bride in a cage. So I definitely see that you have been held back, and this could also be in your personal life, your love life. In the bride in a cage, okay, this is like a little bit of a scary looking card, group number one. You can see here we have this bride that is kind of like caged with like a skull head, but I think this card is beautiful because it kind of shows like this bride that is put away, okay? So she could be a bride, but she's not, because she's caged. And this may be your love life. You may think to yourself, why am I like running after this F-boy? Why am I allowing somebody to treat me this way when I could be somebody's wifey, when I could be somebody's man, when I could be somebody's everything? Like, why is this happening to me? And if you're already in a relationship, maybe you're not quite happy with how things are progressing and moving forward. And again, you feel kind of caged, okay? So either way, I see kind of like a crossroads here where you feel as though you're hiding your true self, because when you're not being embraced 100%, then you're not like allowing all of your amazing energy to flow into this world. You know, you're not being 100% yourself, because 100% yourself is confident enough to walk away from a situation where you're not being appreciated to the extent that you feel comfortable with. And if you feel comfortable being in a relationship where you're engaged, about to be married, you know, picking out wedding cakes and so on and so forth, and you're not comfortable being just boyfriend, girlfriend for years, then know that that is completely okay. You know, you don't have to just adapt to what somebody else thinks that you should be okay with. You have your own dreams, your own aspirations, your own things that you want, and there should at least be compromise. You know, if somebody cares about you and that is important to you, just as an example, marriage, kids, etc., all of those big kind of life events, then they should be able to compromise. They should be able to kind of like come towards you, in a sense, extend the olive branch, instead of them just keeping their position or keeping themselves kind of hidden so they don't open up too much, so they don't need to commit that much. You know what I mean? Just like putting out the little fingy. I wanted to say pinky or finger and then I said finky. Like, what? Okay, so putting out like the little like pinky, but not allowing you to actually hold their hand. You get what I mean, group number one? So I know, very like figuratively explained, but I feel like you all always understand exactly what I mean. So we have the deer, we have the orca, we have the red fox, as well as the tarantula. So we have a very interesting combo for you down here, group number one. So in the deer, one thing that I see here is that what is next is kind of like this battle of taking your power back. I see that there's like a tug of war, a back and forth. This could be in love, this could be in your personal life, this could be just with yourself. If you're suffering from something like, say, an eating disorder, depression, any kind of like body dysmorphia, I mean, there's so many different things out there, and there's so many things that are very unique. And one thing with that is kind of like the power struggle mentally, to gain the power back over who you are and to take it away from like illnesses, from conditions that are really stopping you from living your best life and being who you have always been, like, so who you've always been supposed to be. What is wrong with my English today? Holding you back from being who you're supposed to be. Yes. You guys know what I mean. So one thing that I see here in the orca is just the fact that you can get back to that equilibrium. You can feel as though you're taking your power back when you just kind of like allow yourself to rest and to be like embedded in this almost like nest of love. And I know this sounds so weird, but your friends, your family, sometimes you just need to give things a rest. Sometimes you need to give yourself a break and to kind of lean on them and to kind of feel sheltered by being this little like orca baby, like surrounded by the bigger orcas who are your family, your friends, the people who you trust, the people who protect you, who care about you, because you can't always be like an orca on the outside. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you need to be on the inside of the herd. Do you understand what I mean? So sometimes you need to be in a position where you can recuperate, where you can grow, and where you're not vulnerable, okay? You cannot always be one of the protectors. You cannot always be one of the ones pushing forwards. You cannot always be one of the ones who are like on the sides protecting. It is like give and take, and you need to swap out a little bit in this herd that is your life and your social circle, etc. Like, know that it's okay for you to also sometimes take a little bit of time just away and a little bit of time to deal with the things that are really bothering you, that only you can deal with, because nobody can help you with these conditions that are plaguing you mentally, except for yourself. And it takes time, it takes, vulnerability, it takes you feeling safe in your everyday life to confront these things and not feel overwhelmed by like the sheer thought of them. Then in the red fox, one thing that I see here is a lot of strategy. In correlation to the tarantula, I see that strategy is kind of like connecting all the dots in your life. So what's next for you, group number one, is you developing a life strategy that connects to love, that connects to your mental health, that connects to your career. And this is like a one-fits-all kind of strategy. So this strategy could be for you, for instance, having a lot more of a positive approach, thinking to yourself, no matter how crappy the situation, what good can come out of this, and going into certain situations with that mindset. But for you, your strategy could also be to, work hard, push through, but then also reward yourself and kind of like play hard. I know, the most tacky quote, work hard, play hard, but you get what I mean, like you put in a lot of effort, but at the same time, you're not shaming yourself when you need that day of just like flat out sleep, when you need to go on that little shopping spree, just even if it's temporary happiness, just to do something for yourself, group number one. So that is like what I see coming next for you, you developing this one-fits-all strategy that you can apply to all areas of your life that will just give you more balance, more harmony, where you can then focus on really achieving your goal and pushing through. Because as we spoke about right at the beginning of your reading, group number one, the most important thing that I want you to take away from this reading still, even at the end of it, is to not give up. You're closer than you think you are. You're closer than you realize that you are. And the worst thing you could do right now is give up or allow yourself to feel deflated, or to, just kind of get into a point where you feel close to a burnout, which is most likely why you're developing the strategy of finding that balance, that personal peace, harmony, and equilibrium. So group number one, this is the reading that I received for you on what's coming next. I truly hope that it gave you a lot of insight, that it motivated you. I hope that it makes you feel more positive moving forward. Leave a little comment down below in the comment section letting me know what hit home and what truly resonated with you, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos. Hello, group number two, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the orange calcite, group number two, and just to clarify, there is one card under here, okay? We're doing everything else intuitively. I do not like to prepare big chunky piles. I do not find it authentic. I love to shuffle and lay the cards right before your eyes so that it's more like a live and real experience. So let's move straight into your reading to figure out exactly what is next in your life. So first and foremost, we have the new moon in Capricorn. So you may resonate with Capricorn for the reason that, maybe that is your sun sign, maybe that is your moon sign. One thing that I see here in your hard work is paying off is the fact that you have put in a lot of effort, a lot of determination to figuring out exactly how you can get to your goals, to the point that you want to be in life. And I see that your hard work is finally going to be paying off. You're finally going to get the recognition that you deserve. You're going to finally feel as though, people can see how much work you put in, and just like how much dedication, how much time, how much effort all went into you creating the things that you have been able to put out into this world. So that could be in school, that could be at work, whatever it is that you do at a daily basis to contribute to this society, to this world. I see that the recognition is coming for you very soon. Then in the waxing moon, one thing that I see here is that the reason why all of a sudden now you're gaining so much more recognition than before, or the recognition is coming very soon, is because you are like gaining momentum, and that is something that you may have not realized that you need. So this is something that I can really kind of like relate to. So for instance, with my channel, I uploaded consistently for a very long time. I've been doing videos for a very long time, and until I got to that point where my channel really gained traction and it grew pretty quickly. Not that it's like a huge channel or anything, but we're not so small anymore. I had to gain momentum, okay? I had to build that momentum, and momentum is built by continuously putting in work, by continuously building without really expecting anything in return, but you know that you have to do this for the breakthrough to come at some point. You have to build that momentum. You have to continue putting out work and just putting yourself out there. And then we have the full moon in Gemini. So one thing that I see here in the full moon in Gemini is the fact that some situations that you thought like were weird, or you weren't quite sure why these things were happening to you or kind of showing up in your life. So these could be synchronicities in numerology, you know, seeing the same number all over again, 111, 11, whatever it is that you're seeing. I see that the answers are coming soon, because you're asking yourself, why is this happening? Why do I keep seeing this reoccurring number? And yes, in numerology, a lot of, well, not a lot of, all of the numbers have a significance. So you could kind of relate it to that, but at the same time, we all kind of respond differently to numbers as well. So for somebody, the number 666 may be the devil's number, so you would maybe associate that with something bad. For somebody like me, I love the number 6. The more sixes, the better. So I would see the number 666 as something very positive, but I see that it's slowly going to start to make sense to you, okay? This kind of like mystery of why you continuously see these things, why these things are continuously showing up. You're going to realize exactly why this is showing up for you in particular. As I said, of course, there are kind of like just basic understandings of different symbols, different numbers, but at the same time, we have all had such a unique life path. We've all had such unique experiences exclusive to us that we have been through up until this point in our life. It would kind of be silly to think that there's just one answer that fits all of us. You know, oftentimes the answer is really infused with things that you've been through and you have experienced, because what your mind is like kind of a memoir of everything that you've been through. And that is also why when you try something and you fail and you think of trying something similar again, you already go into it a bit more cautiously, because your mind knows like, okay, this didn't go well last time, so let's be careful this time, which can sometimes be stifling, but sometimes also protect you. You know, there are two different sides to this coin. And then we have today for tomorrow, as well as atonement. So one thing that I see here is kind of like your judgment day, your payday, your kind of setting the record straight day. Let's call it that. The setting the record straight day is coming for you in atonement. That is one thing that I see. And I see that this has everything to do with a situation in your life that you've been avoiding, that you know has had to be like rectified. And this is a connection with another human being where things have been building up, where, you know, there may have been toxicity, and maybe you're not even talking to them anymore. That is one thing that I also see within your reading. And you can see here in atonement, this lady has all of these daggers in her back, and the judgment day is coming. And why I say like it's not like judgment day is because this does not mean like judgment day is coming for you. This could mean that the person who backstabbed you, who went behind your back, who kind of like put all of these daggers into your life, your back, your body, is finally going to kind of get not what they deserve, but is kind of going to have their moment where they fall away from your life. You know, you have taken all of this pain, you've taken all of this sort of burden, and you're coming to that judgment day for yourself where you can move on and where you feel like the pain is gone, where you don't feel any of it anymore, because all of a sudden you have almost like grown numb to it. It's an experience, and this is called wisdom when you move forward with an experience that was very traumatic, but it's not causing an emotional response anymore that is disrupting your current life. It's not disrupting what is happening in the present day, nor is it then able to disrupt your future. And that is when you have wisdom, when you don't have a emotional response that affects you negatively to a situation that you experienced in the past. And today for tomorrow, one thing that I see, group number 2, is that it is very important for you to kind of know that today you're creating your tomorrow. And I know that makes total sense, right? Because you're working on your future right now. But of course, it makes sense. Of course, each and every one of us, we know this, but actually acting as if we know this, those are two separate things. I see that you have to keep in mind that every step forward that you take each and every day really does make a difference and shapes your future. Every little mindset shift that you shift from a negative or kind of like neutral standpoint to a positive, energized standpoint, it all adds adds up and it all builds up. Just imagine if you were to spend 1 hour every single day working on your dream, you know, or working on a hobby that really makes you feel like centered, or spending an hour a day meditating. Just imagine in even just a week what kind of a change that could make, how much more work you would have put into something that inspires you compared to not doing it at all. Then think a month, you know, like 30 days, 31 days, a year, 365 days. Just imagine what could change in your life just by being consistent and keeping in mind that yes, these little steps do add up, and reminding yourself of that over and over again if you have to. Then we have the 8 of feathers, we have the 4 of shells, as well as the 3 of shells. So we have a lot of shells here, and I see that what's next for you is really kind of like a shift emotionally. In the 4 of shells, one thing that I see here is that you're doing a bit of soul searching. I see that you're kind of re-evaluating where you are in life. And I want you to know, group number 2, that the worst thing you can do to yourself is to pressure yourself to have everything figured out, okay? Even the most seemingly figured out person, I'm telling you, the more successful, the less they actually know what they are doing. Trust me. Most people who are super successful, who are doing the thing, they're kind of like, I don't even know how I got here. I still don't even completely know what I'm doing. But it's working, but it's happening. So don't ruin your 20s, your 30s, your teens, whatever age you're in, by thinking that you have to have fulfilled a certain stereotype, or you have to have come to a certain point in your life where you have X, Y, and Z figured out. That is not necessary, and it's only going to dampen the fun that's next, okay? One thing that I see here in the 3 of shells is playfulness, is bliss. I see kind of like celebration. So I see getting together with friends, with family. I see events happening where you can spend time celebrating, okay? So don't drink too much, just dance, group number 2. But keep in mind here that in order to kind of be present in those moments, you have to let go of thinking that you need to be a certain way. In the 8 of feathers, I see here that you should focus more on solutions to anything that you're not 100% happy with. So I completely get it that we can't always be satisfied with every single ounce of our life. But at the same time, what is beating yourself up going to do? You know, just look for a solution then. If you're not happy with how your body looks, work out, change your diet. If there's no other way, get surgery, you know, whatever makes you happy. If you're not happy with your love life, put yourself out there in different ways. And yes, I know I've said this before, like there are dating websites that you can try out, and people were saying, well, that it's not for serious relationships, so on and so forth. Do your research. While there are a lot of apps and things where people just want quick hookups, there are also a ton of different platforms for people who are serious, okay? And yes, you might have to maybe pay for a subscription. You might have to maybe go a little bit out of your way, or it may take longer to actually do that meetup, you know, because people aren't just like swiping and meeting people in like 10 minutes. Yes, it may take a little bit longer because of that, but at the same time, you're then actually getting what you want. You're not wasting time on people who do not resonate with where you are in life and the things that you desire, group number 2. So that is something that I want you to keep in mind. Try and be solution oriented. Of course, this goes for other scenarios as well, not just dating if you're single, but that was just an example to show you just how going out of your way a little bit, looking for a little bit of a different platform can already change the game completely. Then we have the bison, we have the tiger, we have the hyena, as well as the jackal. Okay, so group number 2, first and foremost in the tiger, one thing that I see that is next for you is strong will. I see that your will is going to be tested, but you're going to stand strong, and you're gonna kind of like set boundaries and say like, this is how far you're going, not any further, because this is what I need to achieve and what I want to do in life. In the bison, one thing that I see here is developing more of a ritual. So a more intricate, maybe morning ritual, okay? So maybe instead of waking up, brushing your teeth, getting dressed and going, you're actually going to now wake up, have a cup of tea, maybe meditate for 10 minutes. Adding those extra like 15 minutes every day can truly change your entire day, you know, how you start off that day. So little rituals like that, I see that coming into your life more. So obviously the morning one is just an example. You may develop rituals that you do in the evening before bed, you know, putting your phone away, say an hour before you go to sleep, just because it will let you rest more easily, more peacefully. Different kind of things like that I see are coming your way that will really improve your life as well as your mental health, your well-being as a soul. Then we have the hyena. So in the hyena, one thing that I see here is a little bit of fear, okay? I see that you're kind of worried that moving to the next point in life, I see you're kind of worried about your future and that maybe it might not be how you pictured it to be. So I want you to look at the hyena card. So see how here everything is like lush and green and fruitful, and over here everything is kind of like dead and looks like there's a storm brewing up, you know? So I see that you're kind of torn. I see that on one hand, like you want to follow your passions, you want to do what you really want to do, but then at the same time you're worried, like, will it bear enough fruits? Will I be able to sustain my life the way I picture it to be in the future? So coming in with the jackal, one thing that I see here is that you just need to kind of face the facts and face the truth. If you are super passionate about something, it doesn't matter if that is mowing lawns, it doesn't matter if that is repairing computers, doing YouTube videos. If you're really passionate about something, then it will show and you will find a way to make it work. You will find a way to make it sustainable. Yes, it may take years. You may have to really build that momentum, as we had in the waxing moon, while doing something that you're not really into, just to sustain yourself momentarily, because in the long run, you're building momentum for a career that you're truly passionate about. And see that as an option as well. And know that if you're just passionate about something, there is nothing standing in your way. Okay, there's so many people to prove that that is in fact true. There's so many people out there who have just followed their passions, even with the most simplest of jobs, and been able to build an empire, to build something that they are truly proud of. So I do see fear of you worrying that you may not be as proud of your life in the future as you want it to be, but that fear is not necessarily justified. You really need to think that through, again, group number 2, because I see that what's next is that if you kind of let that fear get to you, then it will be increasingly difficult to actually build the momentum in order to take that for a burst of success. So don't allow that to get in your way, okay? And make sure that you really take the time to reevaluate your fears, as well as be truthful and honest to yourself about what it is that you want to do. So group number 2, this is the reading that I received for you. I truly hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you found it insightful. Let me know down in the comment section what really hit home, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos. Hello group number 3, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the lovely Vanadinite. So let's do a quick close-up on this stone. It is truly beautiful, but I want to move straight into your reading in order to help you figure out exactly what is coming next in your life. So we have the new moon in Taurus. So you may relate to that because maybe your sun sign is in Taurus, maybe your ascendant sign. One thing that I see here is that prosperity lies ahead, especially in the earthly realms. Know that the Taurus is connected to all things that are earthly. And quick disclaimer before we move further into the reading. So I'm doing this all intuitively. As you can see, I literally only have one card. I would have 0 cards, but then it would be pick a crystal and not pick a card, because I like to do everything live before your eyes. But let's continue on with your reading. So this is very good news for you, group number 3. Prosperity lying ahead is always something that is amazing to hear. I mean, who doesn't like prosperity, abundance, good fortune, and so on? But let's figure out a little more details about what that entails. So we have the new moon in Aries, as well as the full moon in Leo. So we have a very, very colorful kind of bunch here for you, group number 3. And the full moon in Leo, one thing that I see is that something that could kind of stop stop prosperity from coming your way is your pride, is your ego. You know, if you're a very prideful person, you may relate to this. This may be something that hits home, that makes you feel kind of called out, which I'm not trying to do group number 3, but I am kind of trying to do because I want this prosperity for you. I mean, obviously. So allow yourself to really think about how you can get that into check, how you can get your ego in check, how you can get your pride in check, because at the end of the day, it is only going to hold you back if you're too prideful. A little bit of pride, a little bit of ego is all healthy and good, but not too much. You know what I mean? In new moon in Aries, I see that it's really time to take action when it has to do with these topics that we just talked about. So obviously, you might not have the same ambition as, for instance, a Buddhist monk. You know, you may still want a tiny bit of ego or a tiny bit of pride. You may see yourself being relatively low on the pride and ego scale, but at the same time, like, it is not your goal to just be completely 100% selfless, because maybe you know in the kind of like lifestyle that you want to lead that it is just not quite possible. But this could change over time. You know, this is maybe just how you feel right now. Either way, I want you to know that you have to take action in order for this prosperity to come your way. So group number 3, this prosperity is not just going to fall in your lap. It's going to come a lot more easily than during other times in your life, but you're still going to have to put in a little bit of effort and dedication, you know? And then we have today for tomorrow. So you have to put in effort today in order to receive that prosperity tomorrow, so to say. So I want you to know that sometimes you have to work for a very long time. You have to work very hard for a very long time is what I'm trying to say. And without any rewards, without anybody seeing the work, without anybody acknowledging the work, before you actually get to a point where finally things are moving and gaining traction. And trust me, I know this. I've tried multiple different businesses. I've been on YouTube for like a very long time, okay, like a decade. I've been uploading videos sporadically, and I know exactly how long it can take in order for something to gain traction or for hard work to be seen, you know, to be recognized. So know that sometimes you just have to continuously be selfless and continuously put value into this world until you can receive anything in return. And then we have fragmentation. So I see here everything kind of like falling into little bits. I see that in order for you to really move forward, to really be able to get the prosperity that is coming your way, you have to kind of like fragment everything. You have to take everything that you want to work on and put it into little bite-sized piles and portions. You may want to do something where you literally do that. For instance, clean and organize your living space. So you might want to kind of section it off into little areas and do like one area a day kind of thing. But this may also be something that you're struggling with mentally or emotionally, where you're like, okay, I really don't like my love life, but at the same time, I'm kind of struggling with like depression or bipolar disorder, and those are two separate things, and you want to kind of like fragment them, put them apart, and work on them as an individual temporarily. So of course everything kind of intertwines and has an effect on your life as a whole, but at the same time, putting it into smaller piles and working on it in a more fragmented way is going to allow you to really take easier steps forward and not feel so overwhelmed, okay? Feeling overwhelmed is your greatest enemy at this point in time, group number 3, so don't allow that to creep into your life too often. Then we have the jackal. So one thing that I see here in the jackal is the fact that truth lies ahead as well, okay? So truth is something that you may have been waiting for. So there may be a situation where you feel like somebody who is close to you is lying to you or has lied to you, and you want to kind of like figure out, get to the bottom of it and know the truth. So I see that your truth is going to be revealed regardless. You don't really need to put any work in. I see that they're finally going to get to a point where they tell you what's really up. Then we have the armadillo. So in the armadillo, I see groundedness. I see you being at a point where you can kind of like be yourself, okay? And grounded as in letting go of ego, which obviously you're going to successfully be able to do group number 3. So that is good news, okay? That is news that is pointing in the direction of prosperity being invited into your life. And furthermore, in the meerkat, I see here that you're taking full responsibility for your life, your achievements, and all of the things that you maybe have not yet been able to achieve. Last but not least, we have the swan out of this pile of cards. So in the swan, I see more beauty coming into your life. So let's dive a little further into what's next, shall we? So as I said, you're going to be taking more responsibility for everything, because you're going to realize that there's no point saying how life isn't fair, saying how, you know, things could have been different if it was for X, Y, and Z. At the end of the day, you have the responsibility over your life, and due to your decisions, you are at this point that you're at right now in your life, and there is no denying that. That's just how it is due to your decisions. I mean, sure, you may have had a difficult start in life, you may have had situations that were challenging, but we have all had challenging situations. Some of us have had different types of challenges, but that does not discredit somebody else. You know what I'm saying, group number 3? So know that at the end of the day, your decisions still propelled you to where you are today, and the way you reacted to those challenges is what made you, is what formed you, and is what created your life. So I definitely see that you will see the beauty in this, as well as the fact that, wow, if I can decide, if my decisions made me end up at this point in life, then that means that I can decide over my entire future. I have so much ahead of me, and I have so much that I can change and that I can steer in a certain direction. And I see that that really gives you hope. I see that that really grounds you, that really gives you that feeling of like, hey, actually, like, things are good. I can actually do a lot more for myself and my life than I expected. So let me do it. Let me just roll up my sleeves and start taking even more responsibility, because that will just move me further to where I want to go, taking even more responsibility. Then we have love, as well as the 7 of feathers. So group number 3, in love, obviously we have great chances for new or renewed romantic love. One thing that I want you to know in the love card is the fact that that is another part where you have to keep your ego in check. And I know this from personal experience, it is not always easy, especially when you are stubborn, or you're with somebody who's stubborn, or you always want to be right, and you're also with somebody who always wants to be right. You know, there's so many different scenarios. Or, you know, you like food and you're with somebody who steals your food. Story of my life. So it could be very challenging, you know, but at the same time, I want you to know that you have to keep in mind, like, if something were to happen to a loved one, to a relationship, be it one that you have right now in your life or that you're longing for, you would wish that you had all of those little flaws and annoyances and things that drive you nuts. You wish that you could have those things back. You wish that you could have them back with everything that you thought you didn't like, with everything that you thought got on your nerves, because you will realize that it was just kind of like a human coping mechanism. It was just something that you found along the way that didn't actually really have any impact, that didn't actually really need to mean anything. So don't wait till something happens in your life. Don't wait for tragedy. Don't wait for discomfort in order to change how you view just these little, like, petty things. Allow yourself to already slowly make a change now, to get to a point where you're kind of really unbothered, where nothing annoys you, where you just take everybody as they are and you accept them with all of their flaws and the things that annoy you or used to annoy you, and the things that you love, where you're just kind of like moving into a zone of less judgment and with the goal of non-judgment. Last but not least, in the 7 of feathers, one thing that I see here is that what is next for you is kind of like preparation for the next stage in your life where you will have to have some resources. So it may be that you're moving into starting your own venture. It may be that you're moving into something new academically, where say you have to pay a lot of money for school, or you have to invest a lot in say your work clothes, getting to work, your commute and so on and so forth, where there will be an investment, where there will be maybe more money going out than coming in, or there won't be as much money coming in for you, okay? So one thing that I see is that this is happening for a reason. That phase is not going to be so long, okay? Because we do have prosperity as kind of like the bigger kind of part of your reading, if you will, group number 3. So I want you to know that basically what your guides just want you to do now is to save wherever you can. Don't spend money frivolously, because you will need that money to invest in order to gain even bigger prosperity. So be not stingy, but be very resourceful. Try and make things yourself whenever you can. Try and eat a lot of home cooked meals. Try and save wherever you can. Be resourceful with the things that you already own, because you most likely already own more than you need, in order to make sure that you are prepared to take this leap, that you are prepared to take this opportunity that will then come with rewards that are kind of tenfold the size of your initial investment. So group number 3, this is the reading that I received for you. I truly hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it was insightful and motivational. Let me know down below what really hit home and what you're going to be implementing, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos. Hello group number 4, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Tiger Eye group number 4, and I want to move straight into your reading to figure out exactly what's next in your life. So just as a little disclaimer, I have one card. Literally one card prepared, because otherwise it would be pick a crystal, not pick a card. I like to do everything intuitively, right before your eyes, shuffling and laying out the cards. We don't have any big stacks of cards prepared here. No, this is all happening live, as you can see. So let's get into your reading. First and foremost, we have the full moon in Cancer, which is maybe something you can relate to out of your birth chart. One thing that I see here is the fact that a personal issue is going to finally come to a resolution. So this personal issue maybe something that you've been dealing with in correlation to another human being, but it could also be something that you have been dealing with mentally, okay? But this personal issue is finally going to kind of like poof, evaporate, and it's something that you've been struggling with, it's something that has been lingering for a long time, and maybe even weighing very heavily on your shoulders or your heart, and it's only after it comes to this resolution that you will really notice how heavy the weight actually was, how severe maybe even the manipulation was that you were under, because before that you never considered it to be that big of a deal, and now all of a sudden you're like, wow, this person really manipulated me, or this situation really did stifle me for months and years, and I didn't even notice how bad it was. So I definitely see here a big weight being lifted off of you, a big resolution with yourself for your life. Then we have the void of course moon, as well as the waning moon. Okay, so group number 4, in the waning moon, one thing that I see is that you have to ask yourself the question, what do you need to release? And you have to ask yourself this question in order to be able to trigger this resolution. So if you're, for instance, feeling like you've been manipulated by a friend or family member for a very long time, you will come to a point where you're sad, angry, depressed, and you ask yourself, what do I need to release in order to be happy, in order to feel fulfillment? And you're going to realize, wow, it's them. It's allowing them to constantly make you feel that way, And this could also be a situation at your work, and maybe you just need to let go of that workplace, of that position, and move into a field where you are actually happy. Because at the end of the day, what is money? What is job security when you're mentally drained, when you're physically seeing effects of this mental drainage? So in the void of course moon, one thing that I see here is that you kind of have to let go of your hope of it being resolved in a way that is almost too dreamy. So if there is, for instance, if you have gained success, okay, your family members are jealous on you, you have been able to accomplish something, your friend is not happy for you because they are a frenemy, in all actuality. I see that you have to stop thinking that they will change, and that is what I see in the void of course moon. You want them to miraculously change. You want them to miraculously change all of this resentment, all of this negativity that they harbored for you specifically, that they wanted to charge towards you. You want them to miraculously change because you just want everything to be resolved in the most peaceful way, and for the relationship to all of a sudden be amazing, and for them to all of a sudden understand that just because you're doing well doesn't mean that they are going to be doing, any less well. Just because your plate is full doesn't mean that their plate is going to be empty. Their plate can be just as full. Their plate can be even more stacked. You understand what I mean, group number 4? But that is wishful thinking, group number 4, okay? You have to be okay with just distancing yourself, with just setting a boundary and just coming to a point where there is like a resolution of you not being so emotionally attached to that person or that situation, so that it is not affecting you. But what they do, if they can actually come to that point where they can put their ego, their pride, their jealousy aside to actually value the friendship, it is very rare that that happens, because often, they're already doing it while the relationship between you and them is going on, and they're doing it intentionally. So why would they all of a sudden change that? If they actually wanted you to feel happy, to feel like your success is something positive, then they would have done it in the first place. So don't have too high of hopes when other people are attached to the situation, because when you put too much belief, too many hopes in people and them changing, then you often get disappointed, because change is something that really needs to come from the depths of who you are. It really needs to come from your heart. It is something that takes so much work, so much effort, and most likely if somebody is already acting jealous and salty about you and your success, then they are most likely going to remain that way. And what you need to do is just cut the cords, cut the strings, remove yourself emotionally, distance yourself emotionally to the point where they cannot harm you anymore, group number 4. And then we have the Magician as well as the 10 of Shells. So good news, group number 4. And the 10 of Shells, I see blessings, I see well-being, emotional well-being. I see that you will have the courage to cut those cords, to cut those ties, to let go of whatever it was that was weighing you down. And one thing that I see here in the Magician is that it all comes from a place of willpower and the fact that you just want to create, okay? You don't want to be stuck in a situation where you feel stifled. You don't want to have any relationships around you that make you feel like you cannot move forward. You want to be in a creative space. You want to be in a space where you can let your mind run free and wild and talk to people about the things that you're up to. I mean, you have to switch your friend circle if you're, for instance, moving into entrepreneurship and all of your friends are just kind of not happy for you. All of your friends are just doubtful. All of your friends are just not understanding, or you feel like you can't be open with them as soon as you're talking about something productive. That is a bad sign. That is a sign that this is maybe a group of people that you have outgrown, that you have kind of like surpassed on the route that you're on, which does not mean that their route is any less, but you're going down a different path now, and that is not the path that you will take them with you on, and you will not be able to walk further down that path and explore more of what you're capable of if you still have them always like in eyesight. You won't be able to take any turns down your path or to move further down your path if you always have to kind of have them at arm's length, where you can still grab onto them or where you can still see them, where you can still reach them. They either need to be open enough to come down that path with you, to be understanding, to be open-minded, or then you just need to keep going by yourself, or you're going to stay close to where they are. So don't feel like it's something negative or that reflects negatively on you just because you're moving into a different space in life and all of a sudden certain people just don't gel with you, they just don't resonate. I mean, then so be it, because real friends will always take an interest in what you're doing, whether it is something that they understand or that they don't. Family members who truly want you to succeed will always be there to support you, whether they know what you're talking about, whether they think it's a good idea or not. They will give you the benefit of the doubt, and they will support you until, you know, you can't anymore, or until you say that, okay, you're changing directions again. But up until then, it is their duty as somebody who truly loves you, as somebody who truly cares about you, to stand by you and to not make you feel ridiculous, you know? So then we have the King of Feathers as well as the Two of Crystals. In group number 4, I just want to point out that these are all things that sometimes we just need to hear. Sometimes we grow okay with people, friends, making us feel ridiculous for our dreams, or making us feel like we can't achieve it. And that is not okay, group number 4. If you are in a situation where you feel like you cannot openly speak about your dreams, then reevaluate that connection, reevaluate that relationship, not your dreams. Group number 4, somebody needs to tell you that. And in the King of Feathers, I see here that you have to be a bit more logical. Okay, group number 4, you're allowing insecurity, your heart, like this sort of like public shame, humiliation to take over more often than you should. In the Two of Crystals, I see here that adaptability is what is next for you. I see that you will come to this epiphany, to this aha moment that, wow, like at the end of the day, I really need to just focus on what I want to do. And anybody who does not support me or makes me feel ridiculous, if I allow that to happen, then I'm going to stay in the same spot, and I'm not happy in this spot. I want more for myself. So do I want to just make them happy by not moving forward, or do I make me happy and surround myself with people who are happy when I'm happy? I mean, the latter sounds better to me if you ask me, group number 4. But, you know, so many of us would rather please people who want to keep us confined than to let go of them and chase what we want, which is like really strange. But we often don't even realize that we're doing that, and you need somebody to point it out in order for you to be like, huh, oh my God, I really have been doing this, you know? And it's not something to be ashamed of. It's a beautiful realization, because if you would not have thought that far, you would have just allowed peer pressure to decide over your life, group number 4. So open your mind, open your thoughts, and look at everything and everyone around you in a logical and also sometimes critical manner. Then we have Downcast Pride as well as Artificial Heart. So one thing that I see here is that what's next is you kind of like realizing a connection in your life was false, or you watching a connection that is false break apart, and that is going to teach you a memorable lesson. So maybe there is a connection in your life that you've always felt was kind of like a little weird, or it was only good when you were on the same level, but as soon as you talk about things that you want to achieve or your love life that's going well, all of a sudden it's kind of like this feeling of dissatisfaction from them. That is one thing that I see in the Downcast Pride, you know, this feeling of like, you feel like they're not truly happy for you. And that is another thing that I see in the Artificial Heart. I see just the fact that there are a lot of people who pretend to be happy, but then the moment somebody takes off, you actually see their true face. You know what I mean? So be very aware of that. I see that what's next for you is to just keep yourself and your heart safe, is just to not resonate on the same level, not vibrate in the same area code as these artificial hearts. Because let me tell you one thing, if you're happy with yourself, if you're content with your success, if you feel like you're doing something that is making a change in this world, you can be happy for somebody else's success. You may think to yourself, wow, I really look up to them, or I want to be like them, or I want to work hard so I can do that as well. Like I'm like a little envious, should I say, but you don't wish them bad. You're not jealous. You don't have any ill feelings, nor do you think that there is less prosperity in this world just because somebody's life is full of prosperity and abundance, you know? And that is when you're really at a point where you're happy. If you're not happy, or if there's some people around you who kind of like exude that example of as soon as you're doing well, you feel like they're pretending to be happy. Maybe they're not even pretending, but either way, they're not genuinely happy for you. Then know that that is something you have to be really careful with. That is something you have to distance yourself from. But that is also something that one learns over time, you know? It is not like a death sentence. If you are like that, if your friends are like that, if anybody you know is like that, you just need to get more content with yourself, and all of a sudden that jealousy, that artificial happiness for another person, even though you actually don't wish them that well, that is all of a sudden going to fade as soon as you're happier with yourself and where you're at in life, you know? So it's not something unusual. It's not something uncommon. It's something that can very much be worked on and very much be overcome. Then we have the chameleon, we have the sacred ibis, we have the meerkat, as well as the shark. Okay, so group number 4. In the meerkat, one thing that I see here is just taking kind of full responsibility for this resolution, or just the fact that maybe the situation will just have to be you distancing yourself from certain energetic entities. And you're okay with that. You're taking responsibility for your part and you're moving on. Happily ever after, unbothered. Any sacred ibis, I'm not 100% sure what it's called in English. One thing that I see here is the fact that there is a door to more knowledge that is opening up for you, okay? You can see that right here. We have a door that seems to be opening up, okay? And there's a lot of gold there, there's a lot of wisdom, and I want you to know here that you should just soak all of it up like a sponge. This could be you all of a sudden being closer to somebody who is older, who has more experience, and you can learn from their experience. You can really take a lot from it. And that is one thing that I have really come to understand, that there is no book, there is no podcast, there is no how-to video that can teach you what somebody knows that is older, that is more experienced, okay? The advice that they will give you is so much more specific, so much more direct than a podcast or a book or wherever it is that you're trying to derive more knowledge from. And that is really where you can kind of find mentorship that can help you greatly in life. So if you have anybody who is more experienced, who is older than you, who kind of understands where you're going, who could give you great advice, allow yourself to soak up that knowledge, because you don't know for how long you will have that opportunity. But of course, if you're reading books, listening to podcasts, those are all amazing things to do simultaneously. Never give up on that, because they continuously allow you to learn. Then in the chameleon, one thing that I see here is change coming, and in the shark, I see purpose. So I see that there is a change in your life's purpose. I see that there is a change in your life in general. You're going to come to more of a realization of what your purpose is and where you're going in life, group number 4, which is maybe something that you have been in dire need of, that you have thought to yourself like, wow, when am I finally going to get this clarity over what I am, who I am, where I'm going, and what my purpose is. And I see that this has a lot to do with this weight being lifted off of your shoulder in correlation to something that you're struggling with, most likely, you know, with another human being, where it's just kind of like, oh, this icky feeling. But as soon as that is released, you will come to kind of like more of yourself. You will have this moment of like coming into yourself more. And I see that your purpose will be revealed, and that will just be like the change that you need in order to gain enough confidence to say like, okay, I'm totally cool if this happens again. If I need to distance myself again, if I need to cut people out, if I need to go down a path that other people have not been down before, if I need to get myself a mentor in order to gain the knowledge that I need, I'm going to do that, because I'm following my life purpose no matter what. And whoever wants to come along with me is happily invited to come. Whoever wants to stay behind can stay behind, but like I know where I'm going. So I definitely see like one of the next things coming for you is the strong sense of the direction that you're going in, the strong sense of the path that you're walking down, and just knowing that what you're doing is right. And that is maybe something where you've been doubting yourself for a long time. You've thought to yourself for a long time, I don't even know whether what I'm doing is right. Maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe I'm being too hard on myself, on this person, on this situation. And you will come to a point where you're just like, no, I did the right thing because it feels like the right thing. I intuitively and instinctively know that I did something that was for the good of myself, for the good of the other person, for the good of the entire situation, which is the best possible thing that you can do, even if it's not what that person wanted, because not everybody's intentions are pure. So that is where you have to make decisions. You have to, you know, kind of make like administrative decisions to cut certain situations out, or maybe put certain things to rest where you know like they will just get out of control if you don't take the lead. So group number 4, this is the reading that I received for you on what is coming next. I hope that you found it insightful. I hope that you liked all the details that I gave you. Let me know down below what really hit home in correlation to your life and your current situation, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos.